There's no one on the planet that doesn't need more self-confidence, that doesn't benefit from building their self-esteem. What does that look like? How do you feel when you picture that version of you? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Renegade Radio. I am Jay Ferrugia, here to help you unleash your strongest self so that you can dominate your path. We have a Q&A episode today. I post on my Instagram stories once a week asking you guys questions, and then I jump behind the mic here and answer them a few days later, and I also answer them on my Instagram, so just make sure you're following me at Jay Ferrugia on Instagram. Check my stories for that, and let us get right to the questions. How do I optimize my sleep since I do everything right and it's still totally out of whack? Now, when you say do everything right, let's go through the checklist, right? We've covered this a million times, but it is the key. Sleep optimizes everything. Your immune health, your brain health, your gut health, your strength, your size, your fat loss, everything's impacted by sleep. The more high quality sleep you get, the better everything's going to be. So let's make sure that you are doing everything right. Make sure you're getting sun first thing in the morning. When you wake up, get outside, get sunlight. If it's sunny out, 10 minutes is fine. If it's cloudy out, 20 minutes is going to be better. But get whatever you can, okay? If sleep is horrible for you right now, then prioritize getting that 20 minutes. Don't say I don't have the time, because sleep controls and impacts everything, so you really need to make the time for it. You know, a lot of people say, for example, I don't have time to meditate. And Russell Simmons has a great line about that where he says, if you don't have 5 minutes a day to meditate, you need 30. That means your priorities are all out of whack. So prioritize your sleep. Get the morning sun. Do not fast. If you're someone who has trouble sleeping, skip the idea of intermittent fasting completely. Get up, eat early. Ideally, eat carbs with your meal. Eat a lot of calories with your meal if you have trouble staying asleep. If you're trouble sleeping and staying asleep, having that morning meal, that big morning meal, actually, believe it or not, does make a difference. So make sure you're eating before you have caffeine, before you start drinking your coffee. A lot of people just have the habit, right? They wake up, they drink black coffee. Make sure that if you have sleep issues, you are eating solid food before you have coffee or any type of caffeine or stimulant or anything like that. Don't go too low in carbs if you have issues with sleep. Don't go too low in calories if you have sleep issues. Your last meal should be about 2 to 3 hours before bed. And then at night, obviously keep your lights down, keep screens down, avoid screens if you can, but certainly turn the dimmer switch on, decrease the brightness on your computer, on your TV. A lot of people still don't do that, which blows me away. Decrease the brightness on your TV late at night. Most TVs now, unless you have a TV from the 90s or something, have the ability where you can turn the brightness all the way down. So turn the brightness, the backlight all the way down. Obviously do that on your computer, do that on your phone. And the best advice is to avoid screens, but if you're going to look at them, at least have the light dim. And even if you want to look like a dork, wear those glasses. You can do either one of those. Keep your bedroom pitch black, 66 to 68 degrees. Wear a sleep mask if you need to. Put on white noise if you need to. Drink LMNT. So a lot of people will wake up 2, 3 in the morning with cortisol issues, high cortisol issues. One thing you can do to sleep better through the night is just take in a lot of salt, a lot of sodium, an hour or so before bed. Easy solution is just drink a packet of LMNT in your water. I would cut your water intake off at least an hour or two before bed, but that last glass of water have LMNT in it because you want a lot of sodium if you have issues waking up. One thing that works really well for me and for a lot of people, a lot of clients I work with, is taking if you have a cold plunge, great. If you don't, just take an ice cold shower, an hour or two before bed. That way, you sleep so much better when your body temperature is lower. So a lot of us, if you're type A type people, you're cranked, you're running around, maybe you're training late, your core temperature is too hot for optimal sleep. That's why when you go to sleep, you're kind of like hot, and then you wake up in the middle of the night and you're freezing. You ideally want to bring that down earlier before you go to bed. So that improves it. And then, if none of that's working, you obviously could try Cured CBD, which works fantastically. I use that. I've given that to clients and to friends. It's a fantastic product, great company. Shout out to Joe, who owns Cured Nutrition. you could try Magnesium Breakthrough, which is also a phenomenal supplement to help you sleep. That would be the first one I would recommend, actually, be the Magnesium Breakthrough. And then if all else fails, maybe you got to get some blood work done. Go to blokes.co/JAY and, dig a little deeper under the hood there and see what's going on. What is the most motivating book you have ever read? Right off the top of my head, I would say Relentless by Tim Grover. I have the word relentless tattooed on my forearm. I've had it on there for years. It was on the cover of my, trying to get this on the camera here. It was on the cover of in 2007, I wrote a book for Penguin Publishing called Fit to Fight, and it was strength and conditioning for combat sports, wrestling, mixed martial arts, things like that. And I just love the word. I love the mindset. I love the attitude about relentlessly pursuing whatever it is that you are pursuing, right? Your goals, greatness, whatever. And I love in the book, in Tim's book, there's a lot of parts of the book that I wanted to dislike, and maybe I even did, but I was fired up reading the stories. Being such a huge fan of Michael Jordan and Kobe, how could you not get fired up reading that book? Some people I know complain that it was a little redundant, a little repetitive, but if you're a huge fan of two of the fiercest competitors of all time, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, I can't see how you would not enjoy that book. And, just reading about and seeing people who have that Mamba mentality, I think it's just, especially in the world we live in today where everyone is just paper, just toilet paper soft, right? Just Charmin soft. Everyone's offended by everything. And I love those stories about when Michael Jordan would punch Steve Kerr in the face, or Kobe would do the same thing. Nowadays everyone's so sad and scared and offended by everything. I like that. I want that in a teammate. I want my teammate to punch my teeth out if I deserve it, I want to bring that kind of world back. And a lot of those things, all those things are what I like about the book. And then again, just a reminder to be relentless, to be that competitive, to outwork everybody. Got a question about fasted cardio. Yay or nay? If it is low intensity, then do it fasted. So zone 1, your heart rate's 110, 120. Great, do that fasted 100%. If it's zone 2, it's kind of a toss-up. It depends on the person. It depends on what kind of shape they're in. It depends on their goals, their goals maybe at that particular time, their body fat levels. Zone 2, I could make an argument for either, again, depending on the person, the situation. And then if it's high intensity, if you're doing sprints, if you're doing intervals, sled pushing, whatever, for 10 to 15, 20 seconds super hard, that I would not do fasted. That's a prescription for losing muscle. So if anything, take some essential aminos, do a whole kind of like you would take a pre-workout drink if you were training at 4 a.m. Put some essential aminos in there. You can put some pomegranate juice in there, and then add, LMNT, creatine, whatever. So yeah, I don't like high intensity fasted. Next question, garage gym. I only have space for one, a leg curl, a glute ham, or a reverse hyper. Easy answer there. Glute ham, because you can do so many things with it. So you can do glute ham, which first and foremost, in my opinion, is the best hamstring exercise you could do. One of the best posterior chain exercises you can do. I was turned on to glute ham raises years and years ago. Actually, I was going to give the credit to Louis Simmons, but I think it may have even been before Louis. I can't remember who got me into doing glute hams, but I really started doing them obsessively because of Louis. That was one of his favorite exercises, and he said if you have weak hamstrings and you want to bring them up, and who wouldn't want to bring up their hamstrings, not just size-wise, but for performance, right? I was training a lot of athletes back in the day. So if you want to have fewer knee injuries, got to bring up the hamstrings. If you just want to look better, bring up the hamstrings. But if you want to perform, if you want to run faster, jump higher, cut, just anything athletic, you've got to bring up the hams. And like I said, with those strong hamstrings, your knees are going to be bulletproof. A lot of times your back's going to feel better. And squats are actually going to feel better too. So for a variety of reasons, but what Louis recommended is if you have weak hamstrings, start not only your 2 leg days with the glute ham raises, but he would say 4 days a week, start your workouts, 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days with glute ham raises. And I did that, and man, I got so much stronger. I got so much faster. My athleticism improved. I got bigger. I really, really loved the results that I got from that. So I can't recommend that enough. Glute ham, just, again, can't say enough good things about the exercise, and highly recommend it to anyone. Now, it's a difficult exercise. Don't be discouraged if you try a glute ham raise and you can't even do a single rep, because I'll be honest with you, there's there are an inordinate number. The majority of college and professional athletes, the first time they get on a glute ham raise, cannot do one good rep. That's the truth. It's like, the majority of adults can't do one chin-up. They cannot do one glute ham raise. So don't get discouraged. Work your way up to doing them by doing negatives only, an eccentric only, negative only, and then you can set up a box and push yourself back up to the top. You could set up a band behind you and hold bands behind you to help yourself pull back up. Even if you don't have the ability to set up a plyo box or something at the bottom of your glute ham, lower yourself under control, and then just drop your knees down and kind of just hitch back up and then start the rep over. And you just use your hands on the pad to push up. You can even have a partner down at the bottom where you come down and then you just use his hands to kind of push back up. Whatever it may be, the answer is do glute ham raises. If your gym has a glute ham raise, use it. If you're looking to buy something to build your hamstrings for your home gym, get a glute ham raise 100% of the time. And the nice thing is, where I was going to go with this is, not only is it a fantastic exercise, it's way better than a leg curl. It's way better than a reverse hyper. A reverse hyper, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world. Does it decompress your spine the way Louis said? Maybe. I don't know. I just don't love it. It's not a good hypertrophy exercise, that's for sure. So I'm not a big fan of it. So again, with the glute ham bench, you could obviously do glute hams, but you could do back raises. You can do crunches over it. You can lay on it and do a crunch, but you could also stand and round your back over it and attach a band to the back and do crunches that way, which is like a standing pull down ab type of deal. You could do side raises for your obliques, side flexion on it. You can do single leg back raises. You can do preacher curls, get over the top of it, do preacher curls. There's probably a couple other uses for it that I'm not even thinking. Oh, you know what I like it for? Is to do an isometric neck bridge. Just lay face down on it with your forehead on it and just hold and do an isometric neck bridge, which if you're going to start doing neck training, isometric training like that is the best way to start. I would recommend, if you don't have a lot of space, the Rep Fitness, repfitness.com. I forget the model, but I think it's their best one, or they may only have one. They make a really good glute ham. It is not expensive, and the footprint is probably the smallest of any glute ham there is. It's very narrow. You could squeeze it in. It's a really good investment for a home gym. How do I have greater presence in front of a group? I love stuff like this because I think there's no one on the planet that doesn't need more self-confidence, that doesn't benefit from building their self-esteem. So how do you build your self-esteem? You have to have a clear vision of the most elite version of yourself. So you want to create this clear vision of the most elite version of yourself. Now, how do we do that? We're going to do a quick exercise here, guys. So as you're listening to this, as long as you're not driving or working out, maybe if you're just sitting somewhere, you're, maybe going for a walk where you are on an open field or something, not going to run into anything. If that's not the case, I want you guys to find somewhere to sit down, close your eyes, and we're going to go through a quick exercise. So you're going to sit down, close your eyes. You could even stand and close your eyes. You don't have to sit. Close your eyes, turn over your right shoulder. So you're just looking over your right shoulder. And I want you to keep your eyes closed. And I want you to envision the most elite version of yourself. And we got to get really clear here. We got to picture what this person is going to look like, act like, everything about their persona, their aura, their physique, their style, how they carry themselves. So let's start at the top. So what does this person look like? What are they wearing? The most elite version of you, how are they dressed? Are they a jeans and a t-shirt guy? They have a hat on? Are they clean shaven? Do they have a 2-day scruff? Do they have a beautifully manicured beard? Just really envision that. Their style, head to toe. Are they wearing a pair of Jordans, a pair of Chuck Taylors? Are they wearing wingtip shoes and a suit? It's your ideal version of yourself. Nobody can tell you what's right or wrong. It's just who you want to be, how you want to go out and, show up, how you want the world to see you, how you want to see that most elite version of yourself. So, really think about the style, how you look, your image, your personal brand. What about your physique? Picture head to toe, right? Like, is your jawline chiseled because you're lean enough? Maybe you're someone who's just insecure about having a skinny face and you have a bigger face because you've been eating and bulking for a while. Again, that's individual. You got to figure that out. What about your shoulders, your traps? How are they developed? Do you have separation between your shoulders and your upper arms? Do you have a vein running down your bicep? Do you have vascular forearms, veiny forearms? What about your chest, your back, your abs? Do you have a six-pack? Do you have a visible six-pack? What about your glutes? Are they filling out your jeans, your pants, your sweats, whatever you're wearing? Your quads, your hamstrings, your calves. Picture all that. What does that look like? How do you feel when you picture that version of you? What about your facial expressions? How do you want to enter a room? In other words, what is your facial expression showing and giving off and projecting? What about your body language? How do you carry yourself? How do you enter that room? Are you high energy? Are you warming up the room or cooling it down? Because there's one of two options. There's no neutral. You're either elevating it, raising the temperature of the room, or you're cooling it down. Which one are you? How do you make people feel when you enter a room? How do people respond to you? Again, what is your walk like? How do you literally carry yourself through a room? Are you kind of nervous, taking short, choppy steps? Are you looking directly at people, making eye contact? Are you looking above them like you're a man on a mission, looking towards your mission? Are you super nervous like, oh, everyone's checking me out. I think everyone's talking shit about me. I'm looking at everyone. Be aware of all that stuff. And you can go as deep as you want with this exercise. We could go back to the beginning, and when you wake up, where are you living? What are you doing to make money? Who are you living with? Get really specific about your house, your location, your family, your dogs, whatever it may be. And then what would the most ideal version of you, what would he be doing for a living? How would he be making money? He or she, how much money would they be making? What would your daily routine look like? What would your daily habits and daily non-negotiables look like? That's the most elite version of you, right? What daily non-negotiables can you create now that the most elite, badass, superstar, rockstar version of you would have that you could start adhering to today? Make that list and start adhering to it today. And don't make it super challenging and so hard that there's no way you can do it. Start with 3 to 5 things and build from there. And maybe that's enough. Maybe you don't need to do more than that. Simplicity is always going to be key, right? So maybe it's just 5 things that you can do repeatedly and you get really good at, and you do them over and over again until this becomes your new identity. This becomes habitual. This becomes so easy, where it's like brushing your teeth. You don't think about brushing your teeth. You don't have to talk yourself into brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about drinking water. You don't have to convince yourself to drink water. Many meatheads listening to this program, like I'm 85 years old, this podcast, don't need to convince themselves to work out. Some people do, but we don't. Meatheads like us don't. That's all natural for us, but there's a lot of things that aren't. Blocking distractions, keeping your word, keeping the promises to yourself, being more focused, whatever it might be. Those things may not be natural to you, and you need to work until those become as natural as drinking water or going to the gym or eating healthy food. Eating healthy food for a lot of people listening to this right now is very natural. We wouldn't consider going to get a Big Mac. We wouldn't eat a Kit Kat for a snack. We wouldn't drink a soda. But a lot of people would, but we've disciplined ourselves to get there. So it shows that if we can do those things, we could do all the other things that we're struggling to not be able to do right now, right? So, and then, more specific to your question, which the original question was how to have greater presence in front of a group. That's simply, okay, we've created this most elite, most confident version of you. Now you take that person out to a group setting as often as you can. Meaning you join Toastmasters, you join improv classes, you take public speaking classes, you go on meetup.com and go to things. Anytime, any place, anywhere, there's an opportunity for you to speak up in front of people and do it with the volume slightly higher than you're comfortable with your charisma or your energy slightly higher than you are comfortable with. You take those opportunities all the time, over and over again. That's the only way you get good, and then you just practice, And over time, that becomes your new identity. Do you coach a hard gainer any differently than someone else? Well, not necessarily, right? A true hard gainer isn't someone who is naturally ripped. We know those guys, and they're usually it's rare that guys get into their 40s and they're naturally ripped, but there are those guys too. Those guys are not hard gainers. I hate to break it to you guys. You are just lazy and don't have the dedication to eat enough. A true hard gainer is skinny fat, meaning when they try to, meaning they have, first of all, they have the spare tire, they have the tits, they're flabby, there's really no definition, their arms are just one long tube steak, no definition, no veins anywhere. That's that hard gainer life, and I've lived that hard gainer life. I get it. Those are my natural genetics. So many of the people I've worked with over the last 28 years have dealt with that. Sometimes you have that A-frame, like Grimace, we have the narrow shoulders, the wide hips, just a disaster. A lot of guys I'm just thinking of come to mind from my own gym. And you got to work really hard. That I'm going to be, brutally honest with you. That is not easy to overcome those kind of genetics. You got to work brutally hard. It's a typical dad bod. We have small joints. We're naturally weak. We get sick easily. The wind blows the wrong way. We're getting sick. We get injured more easily. So the hard gainer can't do too much in one session because they don't even have great work capacity. So you need to break up the work. So sometimes, believe it or not, a lot of the old hard gainer programs were like, oh, just train 3 days a week. Sometimes the hard gainers are better off training 5 or 6 days a week, but for like 30 minutes and doing 8 to 10 total sets. Again, because they don't have a high work capacity, they can't tolerate a lot of sets to failure in a workout. That's not great. If you're really one of those true hard gainer guys, never take a set to failure. 1 or 2 reps shy. I don't want to say never. I like to speak in absolutes because it pisses people off. But for the most part, if you're doing, let's say, 8 to 10 sets in a workout, maybe 2 to 3 of those are to failure, and the others are to 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. But if you want to play it safe, you don't need to go to failure. It's only more of a mental thing. Really that's what it is. So you don't need to, as long as you're 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. And again, you may benefit from doing less in each session. Like a lot of those hard gainer workouts, if you're going 3 days a week and doing one of those massive workouts, that might just be a lot harder to recover from than going 5 days a week, taking the same volume and breaking it down into 5 workouts instead of 3. That would be my recommendation for a lot of the guys. And I've worked with countless hard gainers. I wrote the hard gainer column in Men's Fitness for 10 years. Countless hard gainers I've worked with for 28 years that I've been doing this, and I've been a hard gainer for 49 years. So not just making that up based on the latest study. I'm telling you that based on experience. So they can't repair muscle damage well, meaning you want to limit the amount of stretch position stuff you do, like RDLs and things like that. You want to limit the amount of high reps you do. You want to limit and CNS intensive stuff, and we get into the weeds on the technical correct term there, but basically that means you don't want to do a lot of high rep stuff. You don't want to do a lot of low rest periods because low rest periods and high reps are actually more stressful. So you want to stick with same thing I've been saying for as long as I've been doing this, 28 years. Stick in that 5 to 8-ish rep range and do take 2 to 3 minutes rest. Probably err on the side of taking 3 minutes rest between everything. That's real. If you're a true hard gainer, that's going to be your safest bet. Now, if you're alternating exercises, right, let's say you're doing a chest press in a row, you could cut that rest period in half and go 90 seconds between. I don't think that's a huge thing. It just depends on how bad your recovery is. And then, your recovery is probably going to get worse as you get older. And if you have poor sleep and a lot of stress, your recovery is not going to be great. So we got to be really honest with ourselves when assessing this and deciding how much you can do. And then how often should you train each muscle group if you're a hard gainer? That really depends on the person and the situation too. We could go, let's say, for this particular person, they decided that they were going to train 5 days a week on an upper-lower split. So what I would do is just alternate upper-lower, right? So let's say we go Monday, Tuesday, upper-lower, Wednesday's off, and then Thursday, Friday. Saturday would be upper-lower, upper, and then we would start the next Monday on lower, and then go lower, upper, and then take off, then go lower, upper, lower. So you could train as a hard gainer anywhere from 3 times a week per muscle group, 2 times, once, somewhere between once every 3 to 7 days. And And people get it twisted about hard gainers where they're like, oh, you can only do upper lower. You got to train each muscle group twice a week. But I don't believe that. If you do a chest day on Monday and you don't train chest again directly until next Monday, I think that's totally fine too, as long as the volume's equated. And also, if you have a shoulder day or an arm day, most likely you're going to be doing an overhead press or a dip or a close grip or something like that. So you're still going to get some chest in there. So even when people look at a once a week body part split, or they call it a bro split, they think, oh, well, that's not enough frequency because you're not hitting each muscle more than once a week. Well, first of all, that's not 100% true. That's not necessarily true. But even if it were, you're still getting indirect work on all the other days. Do you typically get your steps in one long walk, or is it broken up? For me, it's broken up. Some days it's a few short walks and one very long one. And ideally, you'd be going for a 10-minute walk after every meal. That's really the best case scenario, and that's what I do most of the time. That's what I advise my guys to do, and that's what they do most of the time. One thing we definitely noticed is that for fat loss and digestion and sleep, they improve noticeably when you get your daily steps up to 12,000 and above. All those three things, which are huge, right? Digestion, fat loss, and sleep. Improve at 12,000 steps a day and above. So back to the original question that we started this episode with was about sleep. I forgot to add there, taking your steps to 12,000 above can make quite a difference for your sleep. And the great thing is anyone can walk, right? Well, not anyone. Now I'm going to have someone who's in a wheelchair email me hate mail, but most of you guys can do that. Most people can walk. Walking is available to most people. Great form of exercise. Highly recommend you do it. It can only improve your health. I think we'll wrap it up with that for today, guys. Leave these last couple for next time. So as always, I thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. Share the show. If you're listening and you want to tag me, take a screenshot, tag me on Instagram. That'd be great. If you could leave a 5-star review, that'd be amazing. If you could leave a written review, even better. And that's it, guys. Please support our sponsors. If you want to work with me for coaching one-on-one, shoot me a DM on Instagram. And that is it. I will talk to you next time. Peace.